Shohei Ohtani flips his bat like this, if you're watching on the YouTube side, and saves the Halo season for now. I'm not going to get too excited. What a game against the New York Yankees. And there was a moment in this game with Griffin Canning and Phil Nevin that I loved, and we're going to talk about it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and Jon, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And the best way to help us out is by giving us a rate and a review. And those watching on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and click that bell to be notified every time a new episode drops. And today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is Jon, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother Jon.
Hey, Locked On Everydayers, we have a great conversation with Lindsey Crosby of Locked On MLB Prospects on Friday to discuss which team has the prospects if the Angels are going to make a trade of Shohei Ohtani. But listen, on today's show, the Angels have struggled to produce a shutdown inning, and we're chatting about Zach Neto being a possible locker room leader. But Mike, first, the Angels live to fight another day. Maybe our question for Lindsey Crosby on Friday will be for naught, because the Angels walk it off in this one, 4-3, fantastic, and a large part due in part to Shohei Ohtani, but also the pitching, Mike.
Yeah, Shohei said, "I'm still here," when he hit that home run. They were down 3-1 in the seventh inning, Johnny, and he hit his 35th home run. There was a runner on, and everybody was thinking that they were probably just going to put Shohei on, and they decided to pitch to him. And it was a good at bat. I mean, he looked fooled a couple of times, but then he nails a typical Shohei home run to like left center and ties this game at 3. And then that bat flip was just
chef,
like,
woo,
it was so good,
baby.
And I loved his energy around the bag. I love his huge high five to Bill Hasselman at third base. I loved.
I don't want to talk
everybody.
about Bill Hasselman.
Well, at least he didn't punch him in the face. But everybody was so fired up at that moment, Jon. And it was a back and forth game, and both teams really needed this one. And the top of the ninth comes, and Matt Moore comes in. He has a bit of trouble, and then gets not Mike Stanton, that's what his name was, Giancarlo Stanton. He gets him to fly out to deep left center field. I thought that ball was gone, Jon.
I know.
I was
a scary
nervous.
one. Yeah,
I was nervous.
The runners took off. They were at second and third watching Taylor Ward catch that one.
Yeah.
So now we've got very lucky on that one.
Totally.
You got Gleiber to ground into a double play, and that was awesome. I think that fired up the team.
Yeah.
But like you said, they pitched to Ohtani in that one. They live to regret it. Now, the bottom of the ninth, the Yanks did pitch to him again. They had a lefty on the mound, and they struck him out in that one. Mickey Moniak flew out to left. Taylor Ward walked, and then Moose got a little squibber up the left field line.
Yeah.
Thaiss got struck out, and it was a strike. I went and looked, and it was a strike on the corner. But, Mike, you got to have some situational awareness, because he threw his helmet down, he threw his bat down, and got kicked out of the game. And so Chad Wallach had to be the ghost runner in the 10th inning. And fortunately, and I'm going to say this, say nice things about Aaron Loup, Mike, because he got us out of a jam in this one. He kept that runner, the Manfred ghost runner, from scoring from second.
He
so
did.
What's your nice thing about Aaron Loup? What are you going to say?
Aaron, thanks.
There it is.
That's all I'm going to say.
He gets Rizzo out on a grounder. It moves the runner over. He strikes out Bader, and he strikes out Volpe. He's not a strikeout guy, Mike.
The strikeouts, Jon. I'm just amazed by that. So then we get to the bottom of the 10th, and a lot of pinch hitters, a lot of moving some pieces around. Can't pinch run for Wallach because Thaiss is out of the game. And you have 2 outs, and Michael Stefanic is coming up to pinch hit. And I was confident that he was going to make contact, because he just has a really good bat. And I love that he didn't wait. I love that he attacked the zone here and rips one down the left field line. It was good enough to score. Chad Wallach wasn't even close. He was coming down that line. And I love that. And I love that he's on this team. And Johnny, I want to see Stefanic in there more often. I want to see Cabbage in there more often. I want to see them use these guys to the best of their ability, because I think that there's a reason why they were so successful in AAA, and I want to see them really produce and perform in the major leagues. I mean, Cabbage, he did get pinch hit for because it was a lefty-lefty matchup, but all of his hits have gone to left field. I mean, the guy is using the opposite way as a way of getting on base.
Somebody on Twitter made a comment that I'm going to investigate, and they compared Trey Cabbage to Bryce Harper at the plate. And so I am going to look into that and see if there's any similarities there. I think it'd be
segment
really
for later
important.
This week. I like that.
Yeah, there you go. Mike, you know why Michael Stefanic won, right?
No, why did he win?
Because he was Gwen Stefanic tonight. Because Gwen Stefani, Orange County native, was in the house with Blake Shelton.
Whoa. You mean to tell me that the irrelevant, nobody cares about you Angels from Stephen A. Smith, that there were like 5 celebrities there last night: Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, Lance Bass, and then the coach for the Chargers and another player for the Chargers. Talk about irrelevant, the Chargers. Sorry if that's your Charger fan, but like that was just like I was watching that going on, and it wasn't like they were there because of the Yanks. They were wearing Angel stuff and they were going nuts when the Angels were doing really well. Johnny, let me bring you back to the game for just a moment. Here's the moment I loved. Canning, first of all, pitched really well. Pitched really well. Career high in strikeouts, 12 Ks. I loved what happened in the 6th inning, and I know it didn't work out to our benefit, but he came out in that 6th inning after throwing over 100 pitches, and he was dominant. He was strong, and the Yankees really struggled against him. In fact, I think Canning's stuff is perfect against these Yankees because he's going up and down in the strike zone, and they were chasing everything. And I know that they were without some of their best players, Aaron Judge included. But I loved what happened because he stayed out there, and there's a lot of conversation about the bullpen we can have, and the bullpen's been tired. And I love that when Canning gave up 2 hits with 2 outs, he looked at Phil Nevin and he said, I'm fine. And Nevin said, I'm going to come out and talk to you, which I love. He came out, had a good conversation. Unfortunately, he walked the next batter. You could see how much he wanted it. But Johnny, I love that move, and I love that for Griffin Canning. I'm bummed that he couldn't actually walk away with the victory, but I love that they kept him in there through 120 pitches. It's what you want to see from your pitchers. It's what you want to see from your manager. That was a great moment last night outside of this win.
In a 6-man rotation, you should be able to throw 120 pitches. It's like, this is how it used to be. I don't know when pitch counts got so scrutinized. You know, I think about the days of my favorite, Jared Weaver. Like, these guys are going out there and they're throwing over 100 pitches most nights. Right. And so, pitch counts have been very scrutinized. And Mark Langston says it all the time, with a 6-man rotation, you should be able to go 100 pitches or more. And that's exactly what happened here. So Griffin Canning just trying to extend his start just because this bullpen has been so bad. And we saw that when Jimmy Herget came out and gave up the double. And so there was an immediate down 2-0 in that one. And it was because of Jimmy Herget. Fortunately, Matt Thaiss hit a home run, and then Ohtani hit his. And then that's when Stefanic walked it off in the 10th. I love that Wayne Randazzo said, no one to trust in the Angels bullpen right now. Because like, they're just, what do you think is going to happen when you bring in Jimmy Herget? Mike, I understand. I think that Phil gets the approval for letting Griffin Canning go. I think he managed the rest of the way pretty well, especially with pinch hitting and trying to figure things out and bringing in Stefanic. My only knock is Herget in that situation.
He hasn't been good in the majors. He hasn't been good in the minors.
Especially in high leverage. Like, that is the most high leverage situation.
When they brought him in, I actually went and looked at his minor league numbers based off of where he's been just in this last month. He's been terrible. He's been Jimmy Herget. Like, he's been awful. He hasn't been the guy he was last year. And we shared some stats on this show a few months ago before he was sent down the first time. He's terrible. His pitches are just being read. Everybody's seeing what he's throwing. And the fact that he's even up, I know that the bullpen's tired. There's gotta be another arm. Bring up Silseth for just like one game. Like, there's gotta be another arm down there.
It's going to come down to that,
because it's terrible. High five to Reyes. I know that he gave up a run on the sac fly, but he really was shutdown after that and really ate up 2 innings, and those were needed innings.
Yeah, and good to see Matt Moore come back and be healthy and get out of the jam.
Yes.
And then Aaron Loup again. It just cracks me up.
Unreal, dude.
He struck out 2 in that one. So,
unreal.
Man, what a walk-off win. Very pumped. Again, got to take it a day at a time because, like I said, the Angels live to fight another day. The Yankees are ahead of them in the wild card. They've got the Blue Jays ahead of them in the wild card. They play them at the end of the month. So there are plenty of opportunities to gain some ground here. And again, they have to take it a day at a time, and it's going to be, that's about it. That's all they can do.
Yeah.
The Angels are back at it tonight against the Yankees, 6:38 Pacific time. Patrick Sandoval is on the mound, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Just search Angels. And coming up on Locked On Angels, Zach Neto's dad, Joaquin Neto, I almost said Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Neto tweeted after Sunday's loss to the Astros, and it got us thinking. Is Zach Neto the leader that the Halos need? We're going to tell you all of our thoughts on that coming right up.
Locked On Angels is brought to you by Game Time. Johnny, we are going, the family and I are going on Saturday to the Angels-Pirates game.
You didn't tell me.
Excited about that. Sorry. We're going to be sitting in the right field pavilion, so that's pretty exciting. But we got tickets super fast and super easy with the Game Time app, and you can do the same thing. You can get tickets to all types of events like football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, and more. And what I love about Game Time is they have the Game Time guarantee. It means that you'll always get the best price and you get event cancellation protection. Here's how it works. You download the app. You can buy tickets in a matter of seconds, literally like two taps and you're set. You can see where you're going to sit beforehand, so you kind of know the area if you haven't been before. If you're an Angel fan, you know where you're going. And so it just kind of gives you a sense of where you're going. Tickets are sent directly to your phone. Don't have to dig through email. And if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. So why don't you download the Game Time app while you're watching or listening to this show? Just go to the App Store, look for the Game Time app, create an account, and then use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB when you're buying tickets. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. So take care of all the fees and the taxes and all of that good stuff. There are some terms that do apply, but again, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Hey, on Friday, Locked On Everydayers, don't forget that Lindsey Crosby from Locked On MLB Prospects is going to be joining us to talk about which teams have the trade capital to make an Ohtani trade worth it if the Halos decide to trade him. We'll talk about that on Friday. Hey, don't forget the Angels are playing the Yanks tonight, 6:38 Pacific time. Catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
After Sunday's really difficult loss to the Astros, Zach Neto's dad tweets out a video picture of Zach Neto in the dugout after the game. He's the only one in there. They're literally cleaning the dugout, and he's up against the railing. Then he goes and he sits down. And I loved the tweet. And I know that Joaquin watches and listens to the show. We love that you're here. We love that your son is on the Angels. We high five you. Thanks for raising a good kid.
Yes.
But he tweeted this out. He said, "I will start by saying that I'm a little biased. We all are." He said, "I know my son, and I know that game on Sunday night really hurt. This picture right here shows it all. Guys cleaning up in the dugout and him there by himself wondering, WTF, what happened?" He said, "Bring on the Yankees. Let's go." And I loved that image. I love that his dad tweeted that out. I love the video that some people were talking about as well. John, a lot's been made about Shohei's body language, facial expressions. There's been people who are like, "Oh, he's gone because he lost a game," or
body language experts.
Right, exactly. What does, since we're body language experts, what does Neto's body language and being in the dugout after this game, what does this say to you about Neto? And do you think that he is the guy that can help lead this locker room? I know he's the young guy, but do you think he's the guy that can lead this team with his passion, with his energy, with his fight? Talk to me.
Yeah. If you are on the YouTube side, you can see the photo here. It's kind of, it's a screenshot, but this was Neto sitting, behind the benches in the dugout, just, pondering what happened in this game and how that loss happened. Mike, this is something that happened before with Zach Neto when the Trash Pandas lost in the playoffs last season. He stuck around and he showed that passion. And so I to me, it just screams that he cares. And that's the most important thing, because I feel like we've gone a long time with guys who don't seem to take these losses personally. And at the end of the day, you're working as hard as you are, like Zach Neto, to help this team win. And it is personal when you lose, because you're giving everything out there. And I don't know when things became so nonchalant with this team. It feels like it happened in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, they made the playoffs in 2014, but there's been something missing. There's been an edge missing. And not that Zach Neto is like a fire and brimstone kind of guy, but he's got passion, and we need more of that passion, and we need more of that on this team. And he's a rookie, but to see that he cares so much is so crucial to this team. I love that he had something to say about Mike Moustakas leading that locker room meeting, and you could tell it made an impression on Zach Neto. And that's the kind of passion and enthusiasm we need from this team. You said something yesterday that really stuck with me. It's the old and the new with the Angels.
Yeah.
It's the Taylor Ward getting tagged up at second because he nonchalantly caught that fly ball in left field. It's Rengifo not hustling to the ball he missed on Friday night, right? Those are old guard young players. And to be honest, they're Epler players, right? They're guys that Billy Epler went
true.
and got. The guys that Perry Manassian has brought in, when you think about Logan O'Hoppe and Zach Neto and Mickey Moniak. I know that the ESPN broadcast was blood to your ears. It made your ears bleed. But the conversation they had with Mickey Moniak while he was mic'd up was so much fun. And it's like there's personality on this team. There's passion on this team. And I just feel like that's been missing. And I don't know what that says about the likes of Mike Trout. We know that he's a quiet leader in the locker room, and that's always been the idea there. Albert Pujols, I don't know what kind of leader he was. I know that he butted heads with Torrey Hunter, who was the locker room leader in that 2012 season. And to be honest, it feels like we haven't had a Torrey Hunter in this locker room since he was removed from the roster and not re-signed the way he should have been, right? So all of that to say, I just think it's high time for the Angels to have somebody who has passion like this. And Zach Neto has it, doesn't he?
I think he does. And Johnny, I just had a thought as you were talking. I wonder if the Angels don't need that fiery kind of loudmouth type of guy. They had a great interview with Garrett Anderson on the TV side, and they talked about the meeting with Moustakas. And they said, do those help? And he said, not if it's just rah, rah, rah. Sometimes when you have accountability, that's helpful. He goes, but those things don't necessarily do much, but it's the play on the field that does a lot. It's your posture, it's your attitude. And I think that the tension that the Angels have ridden for the last 10 years, Johnny, has been that they've had one or two guys that have been really excited to be there. Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, right? Some of those guys. I would even put Jared Walsh in that category. And Simmons would be in that category. I think David Fletcher for a time would be in that category. They just have had more, for lack of a better term, kind of nonchalant, lazy type of players. Not that they're lazy, but these nonchalant kind of, oh yeah, we're having a good time out here, right? Type of players.
There's so many people passing this team by and passing through every year. Like think about how many single year free agents that we've signed or traded for. And I know that's not always a bad thing, but you think about like ships passing in the night. That's Hunter Renfroe. I know we love Gio Urshela, but that's Gio Urshela. Like they're not here next year, according to their contract. And even Mike Moustakas won't be here next year, according to the contract. But at the same time, there hasn't been a root planted in the ground with some of these players who come through the locker room and they're just here. Mike, I for as much as I hate being the body language expert, I understand why Anthony Rendon will get the criticism that he does. Now,
for sure.
He's a lot like Garrett Anderson in the same way that he's not the rah-rah guy. And national fans will tell you he's never been the rah-rah guy. So don't look for something that's not there with Anthony Rendon. But at the same time, like that fist pump with Shohei Ohtani, where he was trying to say like, it's okay, man. And Ohtani was ticked off. Like he went to give him the fist bump, and Ohtani was still mad. And so he like kind of turned and laughed at the person next to him. And I'm just like, I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that at all. Like, that's a moment you go, I get it, dude. I'm sorry, man. Like you did your best. And if he refuses your fist bump, then put a hand on his back. You know what I'm saying?
It's read the room. It's
yes.
know the environment, right? And I think that with Trout and Ohtani, they've always been a Neto type of player. I think Neto fits in that category. I think the guys that Manassian has brought in have fit that category. I love that Mike Moustakas is a guy who's chomping on his gum and he looks like he's ready to go. And I know he's not the same player he was from a couple of years ago, but he's brought an energy to this team. And I think that that's really been the main issue the last 10 years is that we've found ourselves with a lot of Billy Epler guys who are kind of laissez-faire, kind of nonchalant guys. And now we're filling this team with a lot of excitement and a lot of energy. And I think Zach Neto is the guy that can really lead this team moving forward.
Look at you saying laissez-faire. How about that?
Johnny, I have mentioned it a few times on this pod. Shut down innings are something that the Angels just really, really struggle with. And so you did some work. So buckle up, nerds. Yes. Johnny's got some good stats for us, and he's going to talk about how the Angels have done and shut down innings. Is it just something that I'm seeing, Johnny, or is it actually something that's happening? Talk to me.
So here's the thing. There are a lot of innings where games are tied and things like that, and maybe the team gets a run back and they tie it up, and then the pitching gives it away the next inning. I didn't even focus on those, Mike. You know what I focused on? Where the Angels have had the lead and given their pitcher the lead, and then the immediate next half inning, the pitcher goes out and gives it right back. So I looked at all 94 games. I didn't count last night. I looked at all 94 games so far this season, when it happened, who did it, and how it happened. So let me take you back to the 10th of April. It's happened 16 times, Mike. So you're not imagining it. Okay. And again, that's just when they had the lead and gave it away. It's not even a tie game. The Angels had a 4-1 lead against the Nationals. Jose Suarez gave it right back to make it 4-4 on a Rengifo error. That was a loss that day. Now, the next day against the Nationals, they won. The Angels took the lead in the bottom of the third. Canning gave up 2 in the top of the fourth. Going back to the Royals game that I think you were at, and it was the one where you said he doesn't have it, Phil. He don't have it.
Yep. I remember that game.
This was a loss to the Royals. The Angels took the lead 8-6 in the 8th. Jose Quijada immediately comes out, a hit by pitch, gives up a double, a ground out, a single, a walks to the bases loaded, hit by pitch, and a run scores. And then that's a 5-run inning in the 9th for the Royals. So that's another one that they gave away.
And we ran out of there after that game.
Yeah, I imagine.
I love the other games that you have listed here, Johnny. April 27th against the A's. It was a win. There was a 5-run third for the Angels. This was the game where Ohtani's sweeper started to be questioned. Yeah. And he gave up a couple of home runs, hit a couple of batters. Then on the 5th of May, the Angels lost to the Rangers, started out with a 3-run bottom of the first. Remember when they just kept scoring runs in the first inning?
I know.
Just kept blowing it. Suarez then really struggled in this game with a walk, a homer, a single, a sac bunt. There was a double, a sacrifice fly. It was that 3-run first that really helped the Angels, and then they just kind of gave the game back.
That was the only lead they had that entire game against the Rangers. There was that 3-run inning in the first, and that was it because they gave it right back. Now, they did have a win against the Astros on the 8th of May. They give Sandoval a run in the second. The Astros get 3 in the third, and all with 2 outs, Mike. Isn't that just the most infuriating thing?
Hate that.
But then they did tie it in the 3rd and the 5th, so it was a back-and-forth game. They got 2 more in the 8th for the win. Against the Orioles, the Angels were up 1-0 in the second. Shohei gave up a 2-run home run on the sweeper. And this is when that conversation keeps going about, like, why is he throwing the sweeper? The Angels took the lead back in the next inning, and it was 3-2, but then they give up another 2-run home run on the sweeper. So just that, no wonder everybody was talking about the sweeper so much with Shohei earlier this year. The good news is that the Angels got 5 back in the next inning and kept the lead the rest of the way. Against the Marlins, it was an 8-5 loss in extras. They were up 3-2 in the 7th. Silseth gave up a 2-run homer immediately after the Angels took the lead, and then the Marlins get 4 in extras against Jaime Barria,
Yeah.
who has not had a lot of success at the end of the game
No.
this year. And finally, for May, the White Sox, they had a 7-3 loss against the White Sox. They were up 3-1 in the fourth after a 2-run inning. Anderson gives up 5 in the bottom of the fourth. Take us to June, Mike.
So on the 1st, the 9th, the 13th, 14th, 17th, and the 29th, the Angels really struggled with getting the lead and then giving it right back against the Astros. It happened against the Mariners. They got a win against the Mariners and the Rangers. They lost to the Rangers the very next day. And then on June 17th, it was the 10-9 loss to the Royals. This is where Davinsky blew up. And then on the 29th of June, they lost to the White Sox 11-5. This game, the Angels were up 4-1. They had this lead in the game. And then Sandoval surrenders 6 in the top of the third. 2 singles, walks the bases loaded. Like, it was just a terrible game. And then, John, take us to that one game in July against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, fortunately, it was a 5-2 win. They had a 1-0 lead in the first. Detmers gave up 2 in the top of the second, a walk and a home run. Then the Angels came back and scored 3 the very next inning, and that was all the scoring for that game. So again, 16 instances where the Angels have the lead for and earn the lead for their starting pitcher, but then it is given right back to the other team. Some of these are with bullpen guys like Quijada or Barria coming out of the bullpen, or Chase Silseth when he was still kind of fresh and new to the team. But Mike, what is it that's so frustrating? And I know it's 16 times, which is a lot, but still in the grand scheme of things is not that much.
Yeah.
Because there's so many innings of baseball. But what is it about these that jump out and make it so frustrating?
A lot of these are 0-2 pitches, and a lot of these are happening with 2 outs. And that's the thing that really is frustrating. Like you're up
lead off walks.
Yeah, you're up 0-2, and then suddenly you're down 3-2. Like it gets so infuriating. And there's a lot of leadoff walks, and it's those walks that have really done a lot of damage against the Angels bullpen and against the Angels starters. And that's why I wonder, John, if the Angels should wait until the trade deadline to make some trades. I know that they're waiting to see what to do with Shohei Ohtani, but if they make a couple of moves and get a couple of bullpen pieces, I think that actually could help solidify this team to really make a run, because what happened last night is a great example of that. You're not going to Jimmy Herget. You're going to somebody else. You're going to a fresh arm, right? And that's
Scott
really what
Barlow.
they need. Scott Barlow would be great, right? And so I think that actually might be why the Angels decide not to wait and why they keep Ohtani, because they're going to look at this and go, we need a couple bullpen arms. Let's go get them. And they're going to go get them. And then I could see that actually impacting this team, where we go on a run and we win like 10 of 11 or 10 of 12, something along those lines, because then we won't have games, hopefully, like we had last night, where we have to come back and we have to keep fighting because we have a bullpen arm outside of our really strong guys. We got another bullpen arm that really stretches this bullpen and can come in and not give up another run. And that's what happened against the Astros, John. You got to put your foot on the throat of good teams. You can't give them any hope. And the Angels are really good at handing out hope. Stop it.
To me, it's mentality, Mike. As soon as the Angels have the lead, you have to do everything in your power to prevent the other team from taking the lead or tying it up. It doesn't matter what happens the rest of the game. If it's 1-0 or 3-0 and the Angels are up, you have to manage and you have to go out there on the mound and say, no, they're not doing this. They're not scoring. And I understand that's the job of a pitcher. But what I'm saying is I think has to be a mentality of, this is not happening. And like you said, we're putting the pedal to the metal here, and we're not letting this team score. I don't care that I have a cushion. No, there's no scoring that's going to be had here as long as I'm on the mound. And I think that's the mentality that starting pitchers need, and even the bullpen guys as well.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Remember, the Angels play the Yanks at 6:38. You can check out that game right now on the Sirius XM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. Listen to that game tonight. It's going to be a great game.
Hey, give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with the latest and greatest about the show and get all the news and Angel stuff that you need. Hey, Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
Sam Blum wrote a really great article that we're going to talk about how this Ohtani trade talk and free agent talk has really affected the players. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
Looking forward to that conversation. We hope you'll come back and join us again. Until then, my name is Jon, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother Jon.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.